Hello, everybody, and welcome to the ADHD podcast on TrueStory.fm. I'm Pete Wright, and I'm here with Nikki Kinzer.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Pete Wright, who is a writer.
Oh, hi, Nikki. Hi, Nikki. It's Pete, a writer.
You're a writer, Pete Wright. You like that?
You
like that segue to,
yeah. I do. Mm-hmm. I do. I was going to change the spelling of my name officially, but only after I publish my my great work.
Your great work.
The great work.
That's right.
Yeah.
We're waiting.
So am I. We've got a conversation on Big Audacious Goals, bags. It's a bag. I'm going to try and make that work. I think I just have to commit to the bag and say it a lot in order for it to really take off.
Big audacious goal.
Audacious
goal.
Yeah.
Big audacious goal. Big audacious
It's the
goal.
bag.
It's the bag.
It's a bag.
I like it.
So that'll be a new
that.
tag on the website. You do?
Yeah, I do
actually.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to hear what kind of bag you have. What sort of bag are you carrying?
You know what it is.
You've got a big bag, Nikki Kinzer.
Yeah, I do. Yes.
All right. So before we tip off the ball for
bags.
today's bag show, I'm pretty excited about this show, obviously. Before we do that, head over to TakeControlADHD.com. You can get to know us a little bit better. You can listen to the show right there on the website or subscribe to the mailing list, and we'll send you an email each time a new episode is released. You can connect with us on Twitter or Facebook at TakeControlADHD. And if this show has ever touched you or helped you make a change in your life for the better, you know what you could do? You could join the community. You could come hang out with us in our very special Discord server and talk all about ADHD with people who love talking all about ADHD. But because they have ADHD, they also love talking about a lot of other things. It is an incredibly diverse and varied group. It is one of my favorite places on the internet. It is not polluted with other things that you might find elsewhere on the internet. It's just good, kind people helping other good, kind people. And it's a really fun place to be. So head over to patreon.com/the ADHD podcast. That's where you join. That's where you become a member. And once you do that, you connect your Discord account and it'll sync you up. And then when you go to Discord, you'll have these magic set of channels with all the people that I was just talking about, the good, kind people. They're in there. We would love to see you there. And we have this new tier, this new goal that we're shooting for. And as we record this, we are 2 people shy of our goal. I can't believe it.
2 people.
2 people. 2 people puts us over the edge, and Pete's going to start a new podcast. Placeholder, currently called Placeholder. Mm-hmm. It may forever be called Placeholder. Constantly living in the void of uncertainty. That's Pete's new podcast. Just for members. And we've decided to make it available for all members.
That's right.
If you're a member at any level, Pete's podcast, Placeholder, Living in the Void of Uncertainty. Maybe that's the subtitle now. Maybe I've just figured out.
Maybe.
Pete in a void of uncertainty.
I kind of like it.
Clearly. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think it's coming together. This is the kind of blue sky ideation that we need every week to keep pushing the ball forward.
That's right.
A lot of ball and bag metaphors going on today. Okay. That's it. Patreon.com/the ADHD podcast. Thank you, everybody, for supporting the show. It means the world to us. We literally could not do anything that we do without your support. So if you haven't decided yet that you want to become a supporter, we encourage you to see if you can, if you're in a place to support, please help out. It helps us continue to grow and create more resources for new members and old members alike. So we sure appreciate it. Thank you very, very much. And now, let's nano.
Nano.
You like the Mork for Mork references?
I really do. I was talking to a client about this the other day because he's a writer, and I said, "Oh, you should do the nano thing." And of course he knew what I was talking about because he's a writer, and I don't, writers probably know about nano, but he started laughing too because then he made another remark he made another comment about Mork and Mindy, but I thought it was funny. So yeah, nano.
Yes, this is where this came from. NaNoWriMo. is the
NaNoWriMo.
official concatenation of the title of the event. It is National Novel Writing Month once again. You can find out more at NaNoWriMo.org. NaNoWriMo is a nonprofit organization that is helps cultivate the arts, and they do this through this giant event every year where crazy people like me and others in our community join together and write 50,000 words at least toward a novel-sized project in the month of November. And so November, a lot of ink is spilled, proverbially.
My first question is
yes.
What is 50,000 words? Like, what does that look like in a book?
A short story is under 500 words that can be described as flash fiction. Between 1,000 and 8,000 is a short story. Between 5,000 and 10,000 is a long short story. All right, so that's 10,000. Anything between 10 and 40,000 words is considered a novella, right?
Novella.
And there are, and once you get into novel, it's anything more than 40,000 words. That's considered novel-sized. Anything above 110,000 words is when publishers start to say, yeah, you need to tighten it up a little bit because now it's getting so long that it's hard to publish.
Right.
And you might consider breaking the book up into two, et cetera. But science fiction and fantasy books tend to be upwards of 120, 30, 40,000 words. They tend to be long, epic things. Romance novels are usually between 50 and 100,000 words, real page turners kind of things. But really, anything more than 40,000 words is novel size. So 50,000 words is a legit novel. I mean, you're writing a novel. Yeah,
that's a lot. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, no wonder we're talking about this as a bag.
It's a bag. It's a total bag.
It really
is a total bag. And I think it's for me, it's my bag right now.
Right.
It's my bag, baby. And so I wanted to talk about NaNoWriMo as a vehicle by which we discuss bags, right? Like, because this has some differences around from just like, oh, it's a big work project. Yeah, the project is a project. It actually has a defined end date. I know it's just another project, but this is different. This is a little bit different. And it's different the way we approach it, I think, with ADHD. And it's certainly different the way I've approached it in the past. I've been doing NaNoWriMo since 2003. And I don't think I've taken many years off. There are a handful of years off. I consider it a success when I reach the word goal and I get to the end, right? So I have a number of novels where I succeed in the eyes of NaNoWriMo. I hit the 50,000 word mark, but I don't finish the book. And that's a real problem for me. I don't count that a success. So I am not, 18 for 18, years, going 18 wins for 18 years. I've only actually considered myself having won NaNoWriMo 3 times where I wrote the book, I hit the word count or exceeded the word count, and I got to write the end. So I have a lot of stuff out there that's just hanging because I finished I finished the goal. And once the goal is done, the November 30th rolls around, I'm done.
Yes.
My brain moves on.
So I am a coach and I'm putting my coaching hat on.
This is why I want you here.
Yes.
Okay.
And one of the things that I would want you to reframe or think about reframing is what does success mean?
Nikki, it's like you're reading ahead on my notes. That's like the last point that I had for you. And I even wrote it in bold. Are you cheating now or did you just coach me?
I just coached you.
You legit, I have just legit been coached.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a great place to start. I don't know why I put it at the very end. How do you set your personal bar for success when there is no one else telling you what success means? That is one of the fundamental differences of this bag for me, because it's just something I want to do. No one else cares. No one else cares about what I'm doing, right? It's something that's important to me. It is time limited. It's a great, big, audacious goal, but no one cares. I have set success, I think, maybe too hard on myself.
And what makes you say that?
NaNoWriMo at its purest is, did you hit 50,000 words? Were you able to write 1,667 words a day? Right. And if you were able to do that, then you accomplished something great. And it doesn't matter what those words are. just vomit the words on the page and you've succeeded.
So I'm hearing you say that there's nothing on Nano-nano that, and I'm going to keep saying that. So
I do. It's all right.
okay. So there is nothing on Nano-nano that says to succeed at this, I don't even know if you would call it a challenge, but this bag.
That's a challenge.
Yeah. You have to finish the novel. Nowhere does it say that.
No
one says that.
Say that.
So it really just says 50,000. Okay. So what I want you to think about then is reframe what success will look like for you this year.
Okay. I think for me, it's hard to let go of those. I know that success is, I want to achieve the goal of hitting that word count of 50,000 words again, because that's important to me. That is a thing that's important to me in this personal project, is do what is written, right? I would not do it if it was, I'm not one who goes through and like says, oh, I want to participate in this thing because I love the community. And it doesn't quite matter if I, reframe. I'm sort of a purist. I always start with a brand new project. Right? I start with a blank page and I have to hit or exceed 50,000 words. That's step one. That is
which you have been successful, right? So I want
many years running.
So I want to make sure you're very aware of that. You have been very successful in many, many years.
Right.
Okay.
But I have also added that corollary in the past to say, okay, I also have to finish a book, meaning the end. At the end of the book, it has to be a complete story. And I've done that to sort of protect myself from feeling too complacent in letting the job go unfinished, because I have way more examples of not being successful because of exactly what I'm most afraid of. That I'm going to get to the end November 30th and my brain will move on to other things. I'll lose the hyper focus. I'll lose the energy behind it. And I won't go back and actually edit the book or rewrite go through the motions. My end goal eventually is to take one of these projects and actually submit it for publishing and sell it and put it out into the world. And I have yet to do that for any of them. Right? They're all just there.
Okay. So your fear is that you're going to get to the end of November and you're going to drop the project.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I've done that so many times before. Like I've conditioned myself to believing this about myself.
Right. So, and that's something we have to challenge, right? I want to go back to what does success look like for you this year? What will it look like for you this year? Just to get to the word count? Is that it, or what else?
Well, that would be the basic. That would be at its very basic. But I still haven't quite figured out if I'm going to if I'm at a place where letting go of that ultimate goal of actually finishing the story is as important as it needs to be. Right? Like that. It's scary to me to have another unfinished book.
So what if you do get to the end of the month and it's unfinished?
Yeah, I don't know. What I want to say, the picture that I want to paint for myself is, if it's not finished, I need a NaNoWriMo December, like NaNoWriMo December. I need to just keep going. And maybe that's what I need to say, is that at some point, like I have one goal, which is I'm going to be with the community and I'm going to do that 50,000 words in November. But further than that, I have a secondary goal, which is I need to finish the book. And maybe I don't do that in November. Maybe I do that before New Year or something like that. Like, because that is a part, like, as we're talking about it, I feel like I'm led in two directions. It's like the ultimate coin toss, right? I can call heads or tails, but I know how I really feel if it lands on heads and I really, really am heartbroken that it's not tails. Do you know what I mean? And so I keep trying to, in my heart here, trying to say, okay, Nikki, I'm going to let go of the finished part of the book. I'm just going to let it go, but I can't let that go. I don't want to let that go. It feels like that's too important to me. So I want success to be, I'm going to meet the community goal of 50,000 words in November, and I'm going to finish the book and maybe finish draft 1 and get to the end of a viable story. Maybe it's before the end of the year if I haven't done it in November.
Right. Okay. So,
Because the last thing I want is another like 90,000 words that doesn't end in the end.
right.
And I have those.
And what makes that important to you? So when you say I don't want this to happen, why? What is making that so important to you that you extend it for another month?
Because of the satisfaction of giving someone else a completed story to read,
Mm-hmm.
to get enjoyment out of. It is fulfilling to me to write something that others can enjoy. And I don't believe giving somebody an unfinished work has as much value.
Right.
Like, if I'm going to do it, it needs to resolve. It needs to resolve in a way that's satisfying to me. And ideally, down the road, it's something I can crack open again and edit and publish. I want to, like, that's my ultimate goal with all these fiction pieces, is eventually to publish them.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to one step backwards. When you were talking about in the past, because I don't really like to talk about the past, right? That's not really the role of a coach, but I want us to learn from it. And so one of the things I want to know from you is what has happened at the end of November in the past that had you
Yeah.
stop writing?
This is the ADHD stuff, right? This is where I think I'm struggling. I have in the past struggled with my momentum, right? That I either, like, during the month of November, I can get into that super hyper focus mode, right? That I am not eating and I'm writing a lot and, turning out 12, 15, 18 pages a day. And I am feeling really great about that progress, but I'm really single focused and not terribly balanced. And it's not terribly healthy, certainly for my family and my
Mm-hmm.
participation in it. But then when November 30th comes around, I end up, changing gears. And I get, like, the distraction that I have been able to fight off with hyperfocus for the last 30 days all comes back at once. And I realize all the stuff I've missed. And then I never come back to the project.
Oh, interesting. So you actually will on December 1st then feel almost like I'm behind on
Yeah.
on other
Yeah.
things because I've hyper focused so much on this one project. Okay,
That's
so
right.
then for this year, for November of 2021, is there anything that you want to change on the way that you approach Nano-nano?
I'll get used to it. Yeah, I think so. And the first is, I feel like I need to really re-engage a community around those of us who are doing the writing.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk about kind of more of the stuff we're doing in our own community around that. But for me, I think the act of having accountability buddies who are doing the same thing helps me build a framework around my days.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't, end up writing from 10 to 1 in the morning, 10 at night to 1 in the morning. When I'm actually able to do the work in a scheduled, like, place and time that is rational, because I know I can write pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know I don't struggle, like, getting over that 300 word hump. I know I can churn out words,
Yeah.
but it's when my body decides that this is the time to do it. And I need external support and stimulus to do that, right?
Okay.
I need to have write-ins. I need to have meetings. I need to have people that I'm doing this with who are also sharing their strategies, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
really important to me. That makes it important in the world, not just in my head and heart.
Mm-hmm.
So that's number one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's kind of that Ocean's 11 thing, right? Like, you're sort of building the team, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is, if Nano-nano is a heist movie, you're building the team. And I need to have people who have, different tastes in music than I do for recommendations, and different schedules, and different, like, I need to have people around the world who have different schedules and are writing at different times, so I can glom onto them and say, okay, let's turn on Zoom and start cranking out some words any time of the day, like when it happens, so that I can then structure and say, after 8 o'clock at night, I'm going to be with my family. I'm going to be playing some games. I'm not going to be completely obsessed by this. So it goes into the daily habits and rituals piece that we've talked about in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to do that for me because it's a short time, right? It is time limited. right? Because in the 30th, it's at the 30th, the game is up, the gig is up.
However, we're reframing that because for
Yes, we
you,
are.
it's
You're
not.
right. You're right. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, for you, it's not
Right.
over. So you're saying for this year, you really want to build a community around this. You really want to have some
Mm-hmm.
accountability. You want some diversity around it. You want people that aren't
Mm-hmm.
writing like you or the same topics. You want to have different ideas and people collaborating, right? And I also heard you say have a little bit more balance in your life so that it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
overtake your family. So,
Right.
because one of my thoughts is that when we do something like this and we're so focused on it, I don't know. I mean, is there some burnout at the end too that you're dealing
Yeah.
with? Right? Like, oh my God, I don't want to do this
Straight up.
anymore. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if there's a way for you to pull back maybe the number of hours or how intense you are on it might help.
Yeah.
Right. Going into December.
I think so. And I'm really interested in that, in that whole idea of like, what gives you energy? Like, how do you re-energize in the middle of this big audacious thing? Like, how do you keep up enough energy to get through the day on whatever the project is, whether it's writing or building something or whatever? Like, what is it that actually fuels you? And I think it has been a while since I had a daily writing ritual, even now, because I have a rigorous daily podcasting ritual.
Right. That you do for a job. Yeah.
Yeah. And being able to turn that off and still have the energy to get that work done while mustering enough for this new thing that I have said in, again, my head and heart is important to me. This is important to me to do.
As an ADHD coach and just as a friend, I think it's one of those things that you're going to want to keep thinking about why this is important to you. Why is this important to you to carve this space and time, not only in November, but also going into the end of the year? And Pete, I want you to be open to it, even going beyond that, because, with ADHD, it's very easy to think that you can get something done sooner than what you really can. And so even if it's a rough draft, my guess is that you're still going to want to pick apart that rough draft before you even feel like it's a rough draft. So
yeah, probably.
I would suggest asking you to definitely think about why this is important. What do you want to write about? Because it has to be something that excites you. And it has to be something that's going to excite you even after November 30th. Right? So you want it to be something that you're really passionate about, because again, with ADHD, that passion is really important. The other thing that I would say is finding out what's important, why it's important, and to keep the energy. That's a really good question. When do you lack energy? Tell me that. What happens when you feel like you don't have the energy?
That's an interesting question. So right around the end of week 2, you start looking at your overall word count curve and you start thinking, okay, this is a lot and it feels like a lot. And I'm at a point in the story where I have to start thinking about kind of how to build intensity, and my brain starts really dealing with that hyper focus. And as a result, I'll have longer sessions where I'm sitting at a coffee shop or sitting over the laptop and not actually with fingers on keyboard. And other things start to suffer, right? Because I have to start making some real choices, right, about how I use my time, and getting mired in that is sort of the danger zone, because podcasts might not be edited, right? Or something else that, I might drop the ball on, driving commitments, or I never got to the grocery store and the family's counting on me, right? Those are the things that I start to notice, but only too late. That's where I feel like the ADHD sort of takes over and doesn't let me see clearly through the veil of the struggle that I'm dealing with right now on this thing that I've said is so important to me. It gives it, there's a sort of inflexibility that comes with commitment to this kind of a project. And I don't think I'm alone. I think there are,
Yeah, I'm
anybody
sure.
who's committed to something like to a bag
Yeah.
is somebody who has to kind of put down the veil in order to get it done. But at what cost? And I think that's the struggle of the energetic struggle and the commitment struggle. At what cost?
Right. And yeah, you're definitely not alone. And at what cost? That's a really good point. And I think that one of the things that if people are listening to this, and I would even encourage you, Pete, it might be a little harder for you only because you're very set in stone of this has to be 50,000 words. But
Oh yeah.
one of the things that I would say to other people is, you know, just because Nano-nano says it's 50,000 words in 30 days doesn't necessarily mean it really has to be 50,000 words in 30 days. You can tweak these challenges to work for you to make them more realistic. So if you don't have the time and space to spend a lot of, daily time on this, because you really don't, you are, maybe you have a job that is 8 to 5, clock in, clock out. I have dinner I have to do for kids. The only time I'm going to write is in the evening or early morning. It may not be reasonable, and you want to set yourself up for success, not disappointment. So one of
Hmm.
the things I would say is just because a challenge is set like that doesn't mean it has to be set for you. You can tweak it to be yourself, your own thing. However, when you do that, whether it's 50,000 or any word count, planning, you got to plan for it.
Hmm.
How you are putting something new into your life that you haven't had, and you're probably already busy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're already busy. So you have to
Right.
make the time to make this happen, which is why the passion behind it has to be really important for the ADHD mind. So it
Yeah.
really has to be something you want to do. And it really has to be something that you're writing about that you really care a lot about.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
and then I would say the planning you had written and I haven't even looked at your notes, Pete. So I know here you've said daily habits and rituals and daily goals. And I know you probably
Hmm.
initially thought we were gonna break this down for you, and we still can. But I think that is a really important thing when you are doing something like this. What are the habits and rituals that you have to put in place? And it could be more of just a day-to-day basis. Like, okay, maybe we split the 50,000 into how many words is that per day if you do 30 days?
1667.
1667. Okay, so maybe you can't do it every day, but you can do more on the weekend. Like you have to look at your schedule and think,
Yeah.
when can I fit this in? Because I may not be able to do it every day. But if you have Friday afternoons off and you are really excited about doing this, then you're going to want to go do it, and you may get more than the 66.7 or whatever it is that you
Yeah.
said
Yeah.
during that day. So it's planning, I think, looking ahead at, yes, have milestones and goals, but you also have to look at that day
Hmm.
and figure out what can I do today, and work around that. And you're going to have to put the structures in place to keep you focused on other stuff. Because what I'm hearing you say is that not only are you fearing about not finishing it, but you're also fearing a little bit about, I'm going to let everything else go. So we
Yeah.
already know that that's a big fear of yours. So we need to figure out what is it that's going to help you figure out how to not let that happen, or at least not let
Hmm.
it happen to the extent that's happened in the past.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so it could be certain times that you're writing, and then it could be boundaries, that you work with your family and you say to your family, I don't want to work Friday nights because I know that Pete Wright and his family have pizza night and movie night
Yep.
together.
Movie night.
So
That's
they're
right.
going to say, no, you can't do it
Yeah.
Friday
You
night.
can't do that. Well, and this is really interesting, and I think it's an interesting measure that is maybe unique to this particular bag, right? That there is a word count keeping score,
Yeah.
and I started thinking this year because sometimes I'll go a day or two where I get busy and I don't write, and I don't write because I'm busy producing stuff and doing other things for work. But I sort of feel like I need to put all of the different sort of scaffolding, like the alarm scaffolding, alerts reminding me to, to jot down a few notes, to keep my head sort of in the story, to keep the back of the mind kind of cranking every day, because there is an accrued debt that you can watch, right? You
Yeah.
can watch, and they have the graph, right? There's a graph on the website,
Yeah.
their word tracker, and it'll actually tell you where you are next to the average, where you should be in order to hit 50,000. And if you skip a day, it's okay. Maybe you write 3,200 words the next day. But if you skip 2 days, suddenly you're into the 4,000 or 5,000 word range before long that you
Okay.
have to catch up on. And that is a certain pacing pressure.
Well, yes, and it is, because that's that pressure that your ADHD mind is looking at, and you're thinking, I'm not enough. I mean, no, I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing enough. I am failing.
Right.
So then it goes into this very quick, easy downward spiral of, this isn't working. This isn't going to work.
Yeah.
What have I done? And so what I want people to think about is, yeah, I understand why they do the tracking and why they want to keep you at it like a certain pace. But I also want people to think about, like, this is not an all or nothing thing. If you haven't done the word count, that doesn't mean you haven't succeeded, right? It doesn't mean that you're not on your way. And so it's really, I think, curving that all or nothing thinking, because it's so easy to say, well, I'm not where I should be, so I'm not doing this right. Nano people are not like, I mean, they're experts maybe, but they're not like experts on you. They don't know how you work, right?
Yeah, they don't know how I work. They don't know how I work. And that is the real conundrum with a bag, right?
Yeah.
That I think is transferable, that I'm the only one doing it. I'm the only one for whom, like, participation ultimately matters, right? Like, no one else care. You don't care, right? As a friend, maybe you support me, but ultimately you don't care. And more often than not, I'm the only one to celebrate, or in this case, read the final product until it gets to a point that I'm happy enough to actually try to get it out there. So
is why your community is so important to you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's why you want that community. That's why you want that that Discord channel, is you want other people to be on this journey with you, and you want to be able to celebrate each person's success, because I can guarantee you that if you talk to somebody in Discord who's doing this with you and they didn't hit the 50,000 mark, what would you say to them?
I would say it's all right. You showed up. And that's the most important part.
You got started, didn't you?
Damn it, Nikki. Oh.
Thank you. Mic drop. My work is done. Okay. I love what I do. I just love it.
You win this round, Kinzer.
Yeah. Well,
it's a great point, and it is an excellent mic drop moment, because that's a thing, like, it just demonstrates so clearly when I'm being too hard on myself.
Absolutely. And everybody is too hard on themselves. But in
this case, there is that little voice on your shoulder, right? That little devil on your shoulder that says, if I'm not hard on myself, who will? In the case of a bag, if I don't muster that kind of energy, how will I ever get it done? Because I know how my ADHD works.
Such negative energy. That is so negative. And that's why you have to fight that and say, no, you know what? I'm going to be happy I showed up. I'm going to be happy that I did the best that I could. I'm going to be happy that I took, these people with me on Discord, that I put this channel together so that we could all, be supported. I'm going to be happy about that. And you're going to be happy that, because I don't know what Nano-nano thinks. I don't know anything about why they started this, and you probably do. But if it was, I have a hunch that it was probably to encourage writers to get started writing. And to maybe get into a regular practice, because I'm not a writer, you are, and I'm guessing that when you write every day, or you write pretty consistently, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Right. And so my
Yep.
thought is they're getting you started. And because they don't say anything about, oh, it has to be a completed project, it's all about getting started, which is also a huge executive function that is really difficult for ADHD. So this is a really positive thing.
Can I read you some things here, which I hate that I'm reading them because it's really just supports you, and you have too many points on the board already, but I'm gonna do it.
Okay, go ahead.
About NaNoWriMo. It's a 501c3 nonprofit that believes in the transformational power of creativity. We provide the structure, community, and encouragement to help people find their voices, achieve creative goals, and build new worlds on and off the page. Began in 1999 as a daunting but straightforward challenge to write 50,000 words of a novel in 30 days. Now, each year on November 1st, hundreds of thousands of people around the world begin to write, determined to end the month with 50,000 words of a brand new novel. They enter the month as elementary school teachers, mechanics, or stay-at-home parents. They leave novelists.
Mm-hmm.
At no point in there does it say they've finished and published a 50,000 word novel.
No.
It just says they've come together to do something to create a new world, and they write 50,000 words of a brand new novel.
Yes. So that's really the only thing that I hear as the kind of criteria is they want it to be a brand new novel. But you know what? I would say, hey, if you have a novel that you did 2 or 3 or 5 years ago that you haven't finished yet, Pete, and you really want to, bring that into Nano-nano this year. You make up your own rules.
Yes. I get to make up that rule.
Yes, you get to make up your own rules.
Yeah. And it is, all of this whole event is really an event designed to further education in the literary arts. It is for kids. It's for classrooms.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nonprofit designed to do. And if my 50,000 words of whatever project that is contributes to it, so much the better. This is going to be a hard pivot for me, but I'm excited about it.
You know what? Change is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But it's worth it.
I think I'm still a little bit of a hardliner on the 50,000 words thing, just because I've done it for so many years.
That's fine.
But
I mean, you have. Totally.
I think there are some places I can give. I can give in a little bit. Well, to that point, in terms of building community, I am still very excited about building community. And in fact, we have a couple of other nanos. Ellie in the community is a former municipal liaison. She's been doing nano for a long time too, and has way too much to do. I'll be honest. She's just a very busy person. But she's gonna take another stab at it this year. And we put together the NaNoWriMo 2021 channel in Discord, and it is a public channel. It's in our public community. You don't have to be a member of the one of our Patreon tiers to get to it. It's just in there. There's just now general chat and NaNoWriMo 2021. So if there are any other writers in our community, come in there and share your story and think about jumping in and getting started. So as this episode goes out, it is October 2nd. And that means
November 2nd.
November 2nd. Mm-hmm. And that means NaNoWriMo just started yesterday.
That's right.
As you're hearing this. And so it is absolutely not too late to jump in and play along with us and share your writing goals. We might do some Zoom write-ins. We might show up and bomb study hall. I don't know. There'll be lots of different
I would love that. Oh my gosh,
together.
That would be so cool to have a bunch of people just typing and writing.
Yeah.
Writing on my novel.
Having a big writing day.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Working on the novel. So that's the idea. NaNoWriMo 2021 in the official ADHD Discord server.
I love it.
Jump in there, please. We'd love to see you there.
So we're going to have to do a follow-up, Pete, because I am going to want to hear how it goes. And so that also...
We might have to do a nano check-in.
We're going to have to do a little nano check-in, and then I definitely want us to talk about it at the end, because I think this is really important, because you are going to be looking at this in a different way. And I will be really interested to see what your journey's like along the way, and if it's different this time than it was in the past. And I think our listeners are going to be really curious too, because this could be a really important example of how you can shift your mindset on something and have it really serve you instead of it, being this naggy thing. Because this needs to be fun, right? This is fun.
Yeah.
This is creative. This is cool. You want to be excited about it, not shameful, not ashamed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and that you just said it. Like I think often it's the shame that fuels the excitement, like a really negative feedback loop, right?
Yeah.
And like I'm ashamed, or I'm excited to conquer something negative, and there might be some of that in there still, but it doesn't need to be. It can just be fueled by the creative endeavor itself.
And you've got a cheerleader here, and everybody in Discord, all of our listeners, we are going to cheer all those nano-nanos on.
Cheer on the nano-nanos.
Yes.
Cheer on the nano-nanos.
And any other bag that you've got going on.
Bring on the bags. Yeah, we'll support all the bags, all the great bags. All right. Hey, thank you, Nikki. As always, Coach.
You're very welcome.
You're brilliant. Yeah, this is great. We appreciate all of you listening to this, for downloading, listening to the show, coming back week after week, bringing your bags. Thanks for your time and your attention. Don't forget, if you have something to contribute to this conversation, we're heading over to the Show Talk channel in our Discord server, and you can join us right there by becoming a supporting member at the deluxe level. On behalf of Nikki Kinzer, I'm Pete Wright, and we'll see you right back here next week on Taking Control, the ADHD podcast.